If you spend 2 hours and you get a $500 scholarship, if that was a job, you just made $250 an hour.
There's so much more in healthcare than just being in medicine. There's not one moment that said, oh, you have to be a nurse, right? Originally, I wanted to be a lawyer, believe it or not. If your school is not accredited, or for some reason, which most schools are, because, you know, you're promising students that they're going to be registered nurses, so you need to make sure that they can sit for the boards.
Welcome to the first episode of our channel, interviews. And today we have the Honorable Dr. Sena Ablay, who is a great friend of mine. Dr. Sena Ablay is a board certified family practitioner in Atlanta, Georgia. He originally attended the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia, and she received a bachelor degree in psychology with a minor in public health. Then she went on to pursue a master's degree in nursing with a concentration in clinical nurse leader from Augusta University in Georgia again. Then she went on to work as a cardiac step-down nurse, as a registered nurse, and as a charge nurse. In 2022, Dr. Ablay completed her Doctor of Nurse Practitioner degree from the University of Alabama at Birmingham and began working as a cardiology nurse practitioner. Additionally, Dr. Ablay works in academia as a clinical adjunct faculty where she enjoys supporting nursing students pursue their dreams and goals. In her spare time, Dr. Ablay enjoys spending time with her family, taking long walks, and cooking. Welcome, Dr. Ablay. Thank you for making time to sit down with me today to talk about, nursing life. And pretty much we had a discussion about this. And the reason why we wanted to do this is we felt like we were in a great position. And I'm pretty sure this happens to you. In my line of work, every week I meet people who ask me where I'm from. And when I tell them I'm from Togo, they ask me, where is that? I'm sure
Right.
that happens to you too, right? So I always
All
have
the
to tell them, do you know where Ghana is? And they'll be like, yes, I know where Ghana is. And I'll be like, it's just like Ghana and Alabama. It's just like Georgia and Alabama. They're like, okay, yeah. So we are just right next to Ghana. So I feel like we have a shared interest in inspiring others to do
Mhm.
more. So that's why we wanted to do this. So, and I appreciate you making time to talk to me today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm incredibly supportive of your mission here with your channel. I think it's going to do really good work. So I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. But by the time we end this interview, we'll have a lot more of Dr. Ablaze walking around. That's the goal.
Exactly.
All right. So we'll start with our first question. What inspired you to become a nurse?
That's a very good question. I think for me, my pathway to nursing has been not traditional. I can't pinpoint exactly one moment that inspired me. My journey has been about walking through the doors that have opened for me, and also it's also a decision about what I want my life to look like and how my career fits in that. So there's not one moment that said, oh, you have to be a nurse, right? Originally, I wanted to be a lawyer, believe it or not.
Mm.
I wanted to be a lawyer. And then someone told me, your voice is too soft to be a lawyer. And so I said, okay. So I pivoted. And so I said I wanted to be in healthcare. Growing up, not just African, but in a Togolese home, being in healthcare equates to being a medical doctor. And so that was my thing. I said, I'm going to be in healthcare. I'm going to be a medical doctor. And then went to college, was on the medicine pathway undergrad. And then time came to start applying for med school, taking the MCAT. And then the questions became why medicine? Why medical doctor? And that challenged me a lot because then it became, well, why not nursing? Why not occupational therapy? Why not physical therapy? Why not public health? And so I couldn't find a really, really good reason why medicine and why nothing else, because the road to medicine is a lot of sacrifice, is a lot of hard work. It is a long road. And so for me, I needed a really good reason why medicine and why nothing else. And so that began it was a hard time because I was switching pathways. My family wasn't comfortable with that. But I started studying, I started doing research, and that really opened up my mind because I was like, oh, there's so much more in healthcare. There's so much more in healthcare than just being in medicine. And then I asked myself some really tough questions too. And through that time, I started applying. I actually applied for master's in public health programs and nursing programs, thinking I would get into one and not the other. But then I end up getting into both. so
Because you're smart.
and so I was like, dang, what do I do? What do I do? But I came back to my natural being. I love caring for people. I'm a people person. I love helping people become, the best selves. And then I also realized that during my shadowing in hospitals where I thought I was learning how to be a medical doctor, where I thought I was shadowing so that I can figure out if I wanted to be medicine, I realized that I spent a lot of time with the people that were doing the background work. So the people that were carrying out the doctor's orders, the people that were caring for the patients, and those were the nurses. So that actually, what I thought, what I was observing medicine, I was actually observing nursing. And so it made sense. It made sense for who I am as a person. And then I also realized there's so much more you can do with nursing than just, I don't want to say just, but there's so much more to nursing than being at the bedside. There's a lot of opportunities to advance your career. And so I said, okay, I can do nursing because with nursing, the door is open and I can do whatever I want to do with nursing because it was a solid foundation and you learn a lot of really good skills as a nurse. And so I went for it. I ended up applying to get my MSN as an entry level because traditionally, and we'll get into this later, but traditionally people get their BSNs. But I didn't want to, because at that time it was junior year, senior year in college. I didn't want to go back and get another bachelor's. And so I got lucky. And there was a program, only two programs at that time in the United States. And one of them was in Georgia at Augusta University, or at that time it was still Medical College of Georgia, where you can get into nursing but has a MSN or a Master's of Science in Nursing. So you're getting into nursing, has a master's level prepared nurse. And so I applied for the program. I got it in. And then I said, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And if I didn't like it, I could always pivot and go elsewhere. But thankfully, I've never had a single ounce of regret or fear that I was making a wrong mistake. And so that's actually when I knew I made the right decision. So long story short, there wasn't one thing that inspired me to, be a nurse. It was life and also just, being open to pivoting and opening up my mind. That's how I ended up in nursing.
Well, thank you for being so thorough. And I think you touched on very great points. I think in medicine, you have to have a call and you have to feel it,
Yeah.
before you go into medicine. And medicine, by medicine, I mean a career in medicine. I don't mean becoming a medical doctor or a nurse, or even when it comes to other, field of medicine like physical therapy. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. And I'm glad you found your way. So
Yeah.
now, your path is more of a non-traditional path, just based on what you just said. But what are the prerequisites to become a registered nurse?
Good question. So there are a lot of entryways into the field of nursing, and it's confusing even to us in nursing, and I can't imagine what it feels like for those trying to get in. So in terms of degree, you need to have a degree in nursing to become an RN. There's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference between having a degree as a Bachelor of Science of Nursing and actually be a registered nurse. You can have an associate degree You can have a bachelor's degree, and then of course, an MSN like I did. A lot of you'd spend about 2 years doing the basic coursework, and for most people, then you have to apply to get into the nursing program at your chosen university, and then you take the courses, you graduate, you're awarded the degree of associate degree in nursing, bachelor's of science in nursing, master's of science in nursing. And then after that, you have to apply to take your boards. And we take the NCLEX. When you pass the NCLEX, that is your official inauguration of sorts, saying that you are now a registered nurse. That's what allows you to apply for your license to become an RN.
So just to put this into perspective for our viewers, here in the United States, it's a little different from the French system where we come from. In most countries, these degrees are awarded by, some of them are like state degrees that they are awarded by the government in some ways. But here in the US, you pretty much go to a school to become a registered nurse. And then after that, in order to be able to practice, you have to take and pass the NCLEX. So just having the degree does not allow you to practice nursing here in the States. Is that correct?
Correct. Just having a degree, it means you have finished the coursework. It means that you hold a degree in nursing, but you don't officially become a registered nurse until you have been licensed and have a professional license. So that's kind of like the last straw where you can officially put in the RN behind your name.
That sounds good. And just to confirm everything you just said, so there are three ways you can get into nursing. If you know from high school that's what you want to do, you can go to a community college and get your C degree in nursing, and that allows you to sit for the NCLEX exam as well, or not? When you get an associate degree. Okay.
Yes, if you get an associate degree in nursing from an accredited college, that allows you to, because in fact, you use your coursework from your nursing degree to be able to apply to sit for the NCLEX. So if your school is not accredited, or for some reason, which most schools are, because you're promising students that they're going to be registered nurses, so you need to make sure that they can sit for the boards. So yes, you can get an associate degree in nursing and then sit for the boards. I will say that now as healthcare is evolving, there are a lot of the hospitals, at least in Georgia, are requiring their registered nurses to at least have a bachelor's of science in nursing. There are still programs out there. Some hospitals will hire you with an associate. Or if they hire you with an associate, sometimes they'll make you promise that you're going to go back and get the bachelor portion too. But at a very basic level, you can get an associate or a bachelor's.
Sounds good. So pretty much you can get it. You can get an associate degree, you can get a bachelor degree, or if maybe you started with a degree in biology and then you realize that it's not something you want to do, you can always go and find a program that offers a master's degree in nursing and just become a registered nurse that way. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Good.
For the Masters of Science in Nursing, one of the prerequisites for that program is that you need to have had a prior bachelor's degree that's non-nursing for you to get in. So, of course, naturally, at master's level, it comes, it has to come after a bachelor. So without a bachelor's, you can't get into the MSN program.
All right. So if you're out there, you have a bachelor degree in a field that you don't really like anymore, the option is there for you to go and find a program that offers an MSN degree, so you can pursue your dream of becoming a nurse.
Yes.
So thank you for explaining that as well. What was nursing school like for you? Was it what you expected? Was it easy? Was it okay? Or was it hard for you?
So my perspective is a little different because I was going into nursing school already with 4 years of a bachelor's at a
Yeah.
pretty rigorous school at
Mhm.
University of Georgia.
Yeah.
And so by the time I started my program in nursing, I felt like I had a pretty good foundation. I learned I had my learning style down packed. I felt like I knew I know myself and I know myself as a student.
Yeah.
But going in, I've always heard nursing school was really, really hard and really tough. And it was very challenging. We balanced a lot. My program was 2 years. So essentially things that people were learning in 3 years, we were doing it in actually 2 years is actually a misnomer. It was 16 months. And so all summers included. So it was fast track. We hit the ground running. But I enjoyed it. I loved every minute of it. I wish that bachelor degrees were structured similar to graduate programs because I thrive more when I'm not just learning in a classroom, but I can go out and apply it. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I felt like I was learning a skill instead of just theories that I can't even realize in the real world. And so that made a big difference for me because I would go into class, learn patho, and then I would go into clinical and then I would see the actual realization of what I learned, or I can actually apply it to a real person. And then I'm like, oh, here's a gap in my knowledge. Maybe I need to go back and study this a little bit more. Or pharmacology, I would go into the field and actually see the medicine being passed out. So I really, really enjoyed it, but it was hard. It was hard. It was challenging, but I loved every minute of it.
Thank you. And that, that brings a great point because I feel like before you go and apply for school and even commit to attending that school, I think it's always a good idea you can ask the school to talk to one of the graduate, or one of the current students and ask them what the experience is like. Because
Yeah.
everybody is different. Like, we all have our learning styles. Some of us are more practical. You need to be out there and hold them, and be with the patients and, pretty much practice what we learn. Some people can just study and just take the exam. So I think it's very good to know what type of school you're getting into. So that was a very good point. And
Yeah.
I mean, I know you are very smart, but was anything hard about nursing school? Did you, go through an experience where or a class where did you have to take a class where you were tested to your very core and you doubted your ability to finish? It could be a no. That's okay.
Oh Lord, outside of organic chemistry, oh gosh, which was undergrad, that really tested everything that I had in me. And or OChem was the devil. But
Yeah.
in nursing school, so we have to the core foundation of any most healthcare programs, especially in nursing, is pathophysiology, pharmacology, and then I'm forgetting the third. Um, Patho, farm, health assessment. We call it the 4 Ps. But I would say pathophysiology was probably one of my hardest courses. It was challenging for me to wrap my head around, and I did have to really study for that class a lot. How were you asking me how I got through it, or?
Yeah. So how did you get through it? Yes. Did you have to adjust your learning style? What did you do? Or you just prayed and everything worked out?
No, that's not how it worked. Yes, I had to study a lot. So the other thing too I learned is you can finish on your own, but you can probably finish better if you do it together with other people. And so my cohort was actually really small. It was only a cohort of about maybe 70 people at the beginning, at least. And so I found my core people that I felt were trustworthy and that I could study with. And they had their strengths, I had my strengths, they had their weaknesses as well. And so we band together and we created study groups. It was accountability as well. Because also something that was really challenging was when you start to do clinicals, because you're doing clinicals and then you're also in full-time school as well. And clinicals, even though you're in a hospital as a student, your working has the 12-hour shifts, which
Mhm.
is a big chunk of time
That's
when
right.
when you're also in school, because the demands don't stop. They don't say, oh, no tests because you're in clinicals. So you're balancing both. And so it became really challenging to balance clinicals and also balance my time in the classroom. And then also in the middle of that, also studying. So I had to be really rigorous and come up with a schedule of studying, which is where my study group also came in handy because it was a lot of accountability. I couldn't just say, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to take a nap, I don't want to study today,
Mhm.
because there are two people waiting at the library for me to show up. So I had to show up. So that's how I got through it. And also, I realized that for me, and most people would say the same thing about nursing school and our exams. They're all the answer choices are correct, but it's about picking the answer that's most correct. And so it was learning how to test well. And the best way to do that was practicing. I got a lot of our NCLEX prep books, even though I was in school. Because a lot of those questions were the application-based questions that I practiced. And then if I got it right, I would read the rationale. If I got it wrong, I still read the rationale to see, okay, why did I get this question wrong? Where can I go back and study?
Thank you. And I think you said it all. It comes down to, and I like to say this three times: practice, practice, and practice.
Yeah.
They always say you have to try to think like a test maker. For me, I remember when I was studying,
Hmm.
I will pretty much try to write questions, try to anticipate, like if I was a professor, what can I ask? But I think I mean, and you have to find somebody to work with you, if you're in that environment and some environments are very competitive, you know. Obviously, for you guys, applying for residency programs. I mean, you have nursing residency program, but I think at that stage, everybody's just trying to get through the program. When you go to like maybe other grad school, like medical school or pharmacy school, the people are very competitive. So not everybody wants to study together, but I think always having a small group of people that you can work with, I think always
Yeah.
helps.
That's why I said trustworthy.
Yeah, trustworthy. That's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
And did you have to work through nursing school? I know most immigrants have to work. Did you have an outside job?
So for my MSN program, because of the way the program was structured,
Mhm.
they did not allow us to work actually. So
Okay.
you couldn't work. So I did not work.
Okay. All right. And how easy was it to find a job after nursing school? Did you start looking a job halfway through nursing school, or almost at the end or after nursing school?
So a lot of recruiters for our big healthcare systems, they recruit students while they're still in school. So um, in our last semester, our school would have them come to do like a career fair, present their hospital, what they have to offer. And that was a good opportunity because my school was in Augusta. And at the time I wasn't planning on staying in Augusta. So I knew I wanted to come back home in the Atlanta area eventually. And so I don't have time to drive 3 hours to go check a hospital out. But
Hmm.
they came to me, they came to they hosted a career fair. So a lot of our big health systems came to the nursing school because nursing is a high demand job.
It
Um,
is.
as our patients are getting sicker, our hospitals are growing. They need more staff. So we were in high demand, and that was before COVID. This was in 2017.
Okay.
Um, and so that was my exposure to the programs. Also, around that time, a lot of hospitals were transitioning to residency programs. So it wasn't that you were necessarily applying for a specific job on the floor. You were applying for a residency program that will help you transition to becoming independent practicing registered nurse. And so I started applying September of that year, so September 2017. I was set to graduate December of 2017.
Okay.
And then I also started interviewing, and I had, job offers by October, and then I started making decisions. So I had job offers, accepted a job offer, but it was contingent, of course, on me passing the NCLEX and
NCLEX. Okay. Sounds good.
officially becoming a registered nurse. So yeah, I secured a job. I think I signed my contract maybe October of that
October.
year, but wasn't going to start until February.
February. Okay.
And so, yeah, so it wasn't, I thankfully didn't have a hard time. And this is where a word of wisdom, when you're choosing your school of nursing, choose well, and choose with wisdom. There are a lot of nursing schools out there that will, of course, they'll guarantee you that you'll have the degree, but you want to make sure that you're choosing a school that has resources, has the means to set you up well, and not every school can have recruiters come to their school. And some of these recruiters, they know where to get the best candidates from too. And so, of course, finances is always a big issue. If not everybody can go to a private university, but there's tons of public universities that you can get into. But yeah, so that really also helps when it comes to finding a job as well. Is going to a reputable school.
All right. So pretty much when people are looking for nursing schools, they need to I guess you just said something that was very important. You asked about you know, the job placement rates of their graduates, right? Because that's the end goal. And then the NCLEX pass rate,
Yeah.
right? So that's very important. So pretty much,
With the NCLEX too, and not to scare anyone, but I believe the first time pass rate is 85%. At least this is data
nationally, that's the
when I was
national
studying.
average.
Yes.
Okay.
This is data from when I was studying. It may have
Okay.
changed now because after COVID, they changed the structure of the test. But
Okay.
the first time pass rate at that time was about 85%. If you have to take it again, that drops significantly. So you definitely want to make sure that wherever you're going, they're preparing you to pass that test. Because, I have a friend who went through it. You don't want to take that test more time because
you pay for it too, right? You have to
yes,
pay for it. Okay.
you pay for it, but the studies have shown the more times you have to take it, the chances of you passing are dropping every single time. So very, very important that you look at the passing rate of their candidates and their students.
Okay. So pretty much when you're selecting a school, I guess for all fields of medicine in general, you have to think you are not going to school to get a degree. You are going to school to practice, right? So that should be a key factor. And you are going to school to be able to pass the licensing exam, to become board certified, and then to practice because you need that license or that board certification to practice, right? So that's a key point. Yeah. And did you encounter any challenges being an immigrant?
In what sense? I need a little bit more. That's such a broad question.
So we're in the South, and I don't know which, hospital you had to rotate at, and you don't have to tell me, but first of all, you don't have an accent, so I'm gonna skip that question.
No, that's
I'm gonna skip that question.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should because there are plenty of members of the diaspora that have kids that grew up,
And I think that's one of the things we wanted to inspire those kids, right? We want to inspire our kids to pursue these careers in medicine, not just to pursue them, but to go as far as they can go. So being an immigrant with an uncommon name, like a common nursing student or student with an uncommon name, did you encounter any challenges? Obviously you didn't struggle. Like you say, you work in a high demand field, so people are looking at your application, they're looking at your credentials, and they are not necessarily looking at your name, to select you. And obviously you have to prove yourself when you go and you have this interview with these people. So did you have any challenges being an immigrant? And that can be a no as well, in the nursing field.
Yeah. Yes, because I worked in nursing school, I lived in Augusta. And it's not just isolated to that experience. I think a lot of my experiences as an immigrant carry over in all aspects of my life. And so there's a constant need to explain yourself, right? Uh, where are you from, right? The average American doesn't get that question, right?
That's right.
And so just like you said, then I have to explain I'm from here, and then they'll say I've never heard about it before. And then you tell them, and then they say, they might say something like, oh, I've actually had someone ask me, did you live in a tree? And so and so it's like, no, I lived in a house. Those little comments here and there. Would I say that they're challenges? For me, no. Because it's not something about me getting used to it, but I'm very confident in myself. I love being an immigrant because it's part of my story. And actually it comes up a lot in my interviews too. And I use that to my advantage because that means I can relate to the patient who English is not their first language. I can relate to the family who is scared that their father is in a hospital. I can relate to my colleagues a little bit more because I have different perspectives too. So granted, my experience, of course, may be different from someone of the diaspora, an immigrant who newly immigrated here is learning the social norms, the social construct of America, while also learning a new language, while also, going into the field of nursing. That's tough, right? So I do have a different perspective, but I can't escape it, right? I was in Costa the other day, and this guy came to me and started speaking French, and I was like, "How do you know that I speak French?" Right? Like, not just that I'm African, but that I'm also Francophone.
Yeah.
You can't escape it, so it always comes up, regardless of whether you have an accent or not. That's been my experience, but I don't think about it as a challenge. It's a plus.
It's a plus, and I thank you for saying that. I think that's why we are so alike. So I think a lot of people take offense when people question them, and the way I see it is, I think that's an opportunity to actually make a positive impact on those people. Like, because if you are the first person from a specific area that these people are meeting and have this preconceived notion about what your life may be like or what you may be like, that's your opportunity to actually, open their eyes to, to what the reality is. So I think people get offended. I mean, people have asked me questions. People ask me, "Are you going back?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll go back after I pay off my student loans." And but I think some of these people are not asking this question in a malicious way, or some of them are not trying to be disrespectful, but there is just cultural differences, and I think that's a great opportunity when people go through those, times where they have patients or they have people who ask them questions that may be offensive or make comments that may be offensive. I think that's a good opportunity to make a positive impact and to be calm and composed and pretty much do the right thing. I think that's the key, right?
Yes. And I heard this quote somewhere. I don't know where I heard it from, but if someone who doesn't know you makes a comment that's offensive, it's never personal, because it can't never be personal because they don't know you.
Absolutely. That's true. That's true.
You don't know me.
Yeah.
So, and I've also learned that in life, if you don't give people the benefit of the doubt, or if you automatically classify people in the negative bucket, you're going to go through life with anger and sadness all the time, because people are people. I'm sure I offend people by some questions I ask, or I offend people all the time. People are people. But I know my intentions. So I try to give the benefit of the doubt to most people.
That's true. And like I learned from my wife, always assume positive intent.
Yeah.
Period. Very
It's,
good, very good. So I want to go back a little bit about on the subject that we touched on already. When it comes to paying, I mean, paying for school, tuition has gone up. Um, and I just want to ask you, do you know about, for these people who are aspiring nursing students, do you know of any scholarship opportunities or website or do you know about schools having, or do you know if nursing schools have merit-based scholarship, or
yes.
do you know of opportunities to fund your nursing education?
Yes, there's tons and tons and tons of resources out there. One thing I would tell people is this will come up when we talk about my doctorate program,
Mm,
but go for the smaller scholarships. Um, there was one, she's now one of my mentees or mentors, I should say, sorry, mentors, but she started like a magazine for students and started like a scholarship program. And I saw it and I applied for it and I got it, right?
mm,
That wasn't the Coca-Cola or the Bill Gates scholarship, but it bought books for that semester.
mm,
I also applied for, I forget the name, this was so long ago, but I looked for the smaller scholarships, not the big name ones
mm.
outside of my school. And also, most schools also, it's difficult for the first semester, but usually after the first semester, they know your grades, and so they want to see your grades in the program
Mhm.
before you're eligible for some of their school-based programs too. So I applied for those, and then during they also have some hospitals and some schools have programs for students where we want to support you while you're in school, but also after you're in school, an employment job. And
Mhm.
so if that's a good opportunity for you, I ask that you look for those to when you're looking for schools, ways to help pay for school, because school is very expensive and it's
It
not
is.
just tuition, right? For example, I couldn't work when I was in school. And so thankfully I had family support, but not everybody has family support. And so that's food that you need to provide for yourself. It's, you need to buy certain software for to be able to go to school. That's expensive. Gas to drive to clinicals, right? So there are a lot of expenses that come with being in school outside of just your tuition. Um, Life happens. You need to buy clothes for yourself, and so it's costly. It's not cheap by any means, and so
Mhm.
there are some costs. I can't think of any right off the top
No,
of my
that's
head.
fine. That's fine. And I mean, if you ever think of any, we can always
Maybe we
talk
can
like
start
us. Well, yeah, we can start one. That's right. And for me, I think you said the right thing. When I was, in school in New York, and I remember applying for small scholarships, and it could be $500 here, $1,000 here. I mean, one semester, I think I got like close to 10 scholarship, and it adds up. And the way I see it is people see the $500 scholarship and they don't apply for it. This is the way I see it. Let's say you spend 2 hours to apply for that scholarship for $500 and you got it while being
Mhm.
a student, right? Most of them will require to write an essay, talk about yourself. So you have to have a story, when you're going for this, like when you're going to apply for scholarships, even apply for schools, you will need to have a story. If you spend 2 hours and you get a $500 scholarship, if that was a job, you just made $250 an hour.
Yeah,
How many
there's not a
people
whole lot of jobs that like that.
exactly? So if you apply for 1,000, and most of the time you can recycle those essays. So let's say that you spend 2 hours applying for $1,000 scholarship. You just made $500 an hour. Some
Yeah,
doctors don't make that. So why not apply for those small scholarships? That's a good point. And you touched on a very good point too. Some hospitals or companies will give you a stipend to
yeah,
come work for them after you graduate from your school. It could be nursing school, it could be medical school, it could be a pharmacy school. You just need to make sure that if you are in a profession where you have a non-compete, you
yeah,
want to make sure that you pretty much know the terms and
Mhm.
invest in a lawyer if you can. You should definitely have somebody look at the fine print before you sign up for those. That's very important. And
Yeah.
when it comes to, getting a job, I'm just gonna share, what I know here. If you have a specific area where you want to go and work, and I've put this to people in work, just email hospitals. Like, it doesn't cost you anything to just email HR and say, hey, I'm from this area and I want to go back and work here. And, you can start that even as a second year or third year or halfway through your program. You just want to, put my name out there. If something comes up, I just want you to consider me for a position in nursing or in whichever field you are. That's a good way to also land a job early on. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to add those.
And networking too. Networking. A lot of my life has been full circle moments, and I'll share
Mhm.
this really quickly. Before I even went to nursing school, I was shadowing at Piedmont Atlanta Hospital.
Mhm.
Um, again, saying that I was getting my hours to support that I wanted to become a medical doctor. And on this floor, I mean, I made so many friends, and I met so many people, the managers there, the nurses, the charge nurses. And it's also important that you know how to show up in places. And
Oh yeah,
because I couldn't believe it again. It was a full circle moment because there I was present. All I did was I was working as secretary, and they'll help me like pass ice or something. But I did it to the fullest of my abilities, and I showed up every single time and did what I could. And when I left there, I never thought I would see those people again, right? And then fast forward to almost 4 years later, I came back to that same hospital and was working alongside some of those same people. Again, I never thought I would see them again, right? When I went back to interview, I texted, I was like, hey, I'm interviewing for a residency job here. And they were like, what? Oh my gosh, like, I know the manager that you're interviewing with. And so, again, I never, when I was there, I wasn't nice with the intentions of, oh, one day these people are going to support my character when it comes to interviewing jobs. I was just
that's right.
doing the best that I could. So remember to show up, but also remember that every person you meet in your life one day could be a big difference for you. So full circle, I came back to Atlanta, was working alongside some of them. And then when I became a charge nurse, even I became colleagues with them, right? And it's funny because it's like, wow, you were there at the very beginning. And so I am now back and we're working together. No one would have ever guessed that. So networking is good, and it's not something that comes easy for me.
Mhm.
It makes me very uncomfortable. So like you're like email hospitals. That's something that I would definitely struggle with. But just showing up and being kind and putting your best foot forward and opening yourself up to talk to people. Uh, that's an easy and uncomfortable way to network because you're creating friendships and bonds. So
That's right. Right. Thank you. So we're gonna wrap this up. And I guess for you, I'll let you, close it for us. With my last question. What advice would you give aspiring nursing students?
okay, so when I saw this question, the first thing that came to mind is don't go in it for the money because because how many times have we heard, oh, you're a nurse, you're making big money? And especially after COVID, with the rise of travel nursing, a lot of people went into it for the money. I would just don't go. The money's great, right? That's how we pay bills, and that's how we get to afford ourselves a quality of life. But nursing is such a humbling job, but it's so incredibly rewarding outside of the money. I can't imagine a job where I get to touch people's lives the way that nursing had allowed me to touch people's lives and be in people's most vulnerable times. So don't go in it for the money because, truth be told, there is never enough money to that will make what nurses do. Well, how do I phrase this? there's never enough money that will compensate you for what the nitty gritty of being a nurse is.
It's true.
There's never enough money for that to I can't I don't know the best way to say it, but you can't be compensated enough for when you get into the field, you're like, whoa, I never thought I would be doing this. I never thought that I would be doing this, or that I went to school to do this. So it's very humbling, but it's also incredibly gratifying. So remember that when you are in school, the money's great, but however, there's so much more to it because you might, it leads to burnout too. Because once you get in and you're like, this is not what I was expecting, this isn't worth it. Remember that. Also, always seek to be better. Seek to be better than where you are right now. Because it's easy to say, okay, I went to the school, I got the job, and this is it. But it doesn't have to stay there. And if it is, that's it's different for everyone, but it doesn't have to stay there, especially if you're young. Think about what you want your career to look like. Again, as I said in the very beginning, nursing opens so many doors. There are nurses doing jobs that you're like, how did a nurse get into that job? Like, there are nurses that are chief nursing officers of hospitals. There are nurses that are lawyers. There are nurses that are doing
Right.
case management. There's
Right.
so much you can do. And even if you're not going into a different area of nursing, but at the bedside, when I was at the bedside, I started doing education. And then I was like, oh, I really like education. And so that led to adjunct faculty. That led me to doing simulation work. So there's so much that you can do with yourself. So always allow yourself to evolve and think about making things better than how you found them. That would be my biggest advice to nursing students is don't do it for the money, and always know that there's better and there's more that you can always do than what's in front of you.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much, Dr. Ablay. And this is part one. We'll come back for part two. Thank you for watching us today. All right.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.